Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. It's Jerry Miller. Happy Wednesday to you. A lot we're going to cover on the program today. We're going to talk the best of Charlottesville, Virginia with someone who's born and raised in Charlottesville, Virginia. Keswick, to be exact. This guy bleeds, absolutely bleeds CVille and everything that this community stands for. His name is Alex Tiscornia. Yeah. He's going to join us and becoming a good friend of the program. You know him of Wheeler Realty Company. Yes. And why I wanted to spotlight him is for a number of reasons. First, the guy's an entrepreneur, and you know how passionate I am about entrepreneurs on this program. Second, he's born and raised in this area, and I love that. And he can really talk about the evolution of Charlottesville in maybe about 28 years on the planet?
30
years,
to be exact.
30 years on the planet. We'll get to him in moments.
I've been here for about 26 of those years.
Okay,
so it's
fantastic.
Good,
we'll get to Alex in moments. I love that Sharon Cavender is saying, hey, Jerry, I'm coming in. You're coming in loud and clear in Charleston, South Carolina. Sharon, I see you, baby. Thank you for jumping on the stream. Harris Tolber, Judah Wickhauer, and Lauren Linsky help us make this show possible. Why don't we thank the sponsors? First, Greenberry's Coffee Company. I've told the entrepreneurial story about Greenberry's, how it was a husband and a wife, a beat-up Honda Civic, and some sweat equity. Their first shop was in Barracks Road, and now they're a global business with Japan, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. It's beautiful. What I'd also like to highlight from Greenberry's Coffee is we have, I Love CVille, our team has set up a wonderful partnership with Greenberry's and Caring for Creatures. Caring for Creatures is Central Virginia's first no-kill animal sanctuary. Every dollar from the almond brittle latte, a fantastic latte at Greenberry's, will be donated to Caring for Creatures. So I very much encourage you to get an almond brittle latte and support Caring for Creatures, one of the best nonprofits in the area. Harris, I think we also need to give some love to Dr. Scott Wagner. Scott Wagner, Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. He has done some beautiful, beautiful things with helping people and really saving lives. Scott Wagner.
Myself included, actually.
Yeah, Scott Wagner, Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. We salute you and thank you for being a part of this program. And I think on that note, what we need to do is we need to go to the two-shot. Let's welcome Alex Tiscornia to the show. The I Love CVille Show now being broadcasted on 7 networks, 7 channels across the I Love CVille network, including CVille Food, including I Love CVille, including my page, including Alex's page, including Roy Wheeler, including Scoutology CVille. I'm going to straight up say we reach more people than the newscasts. And, you know, I'm so excited to welcome this gentleman, Alex Tiscornia, to the show. And I'm going to start with an open-ended one, baby.
Sure.
Who is Alex Tiscornia? The man, the entrepreneur, the realtor, passions, interests, put in perspective what Charlottesville means to you. Go anywhere you want with that one.
Sure. Well, I just want to say thanks for having me here, Jerry. And,
sure.
You know, first and foremost, biggest reason I wanted to be here is because, you know, I do bleed Charlottesville. I've lived here, you know, my entire life, minus a few years here and there. But, you know, I just wanted to talk about Charlottesville for a day.
I love it. Okay, let's talk about you. What are your interests? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do?
Sure. So most of my time I like to spend outdoors if it's good weather around here. We've got some great parks. We've got some great trail systems. We're pretty close to the Appalachian Trail, Blue Ridge Parkway. Also spend a good bit of my time in, you know, hospitality, visiting the food and beverage places like all the vineyards and breweries we have around here. So,
Pippin Hill, near and dear to your heart, right?
Indeed. I've been there for a few years and, you know, still enjoy a tenured bartender shift every now and then. But, you know, I love being around food, wine, and all the people and all the food scene here in town as well.
I love it. Ray Cadell, thank you for watching us. Sarah Hill Buchensky, thank you for watching us. Tyler Berry, Catch the Chef. Thank you for watching us, Tyler Berry. Tim Ryan, John Gilmer. Flip over to Alex Tiscornia's Facebook page, and you see a ton of people on that stream as well. You're a popular guy. Beer or wine? I mean, you're a 30-year-old guy.
You know, it's a tough one. It depends on the weather. It depends on my mood. Depends on if I'm eating or if I'm just drinking. At the end of the day, I probably do go home to a cold beer, though.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
or 2 or 3, if it's me.
Yeah, with the lady though, a bottle of white wine in our house does not last very long.
Okay, so you're all booed up these days, Alex Tiscornia, huh? Talk to me about that a little bit. We don't have to go deep into it if you don't want to.
Yeah, I've been seeing a great lady for a few years now, and you know, it's great to have the support with working, you know, for myself to have somebody that is, on my side and pushes me to do the best I can.
I love it. Tyler Berry, it's our pleasure to give Catch the Chef a shout out. I love what you're doing with your entrepreneurial journey and your business, Tyler Berry. Talk to me about the support. You're an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Realtors are entrepreneurs. What I'm doing, I'm an entrepreneur, a business owner. Talk to me about the support you receive from your better half and how important that is.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I've been, my wife is amazing. She's watching right now. She's actively involved with the business as our director of operations. She's running things for the business while nursing our 10-month-old son. A superhero. Yeah. And I hope you truly, truly understand how much I love you there, babe. But where I'm going with this is I've dated, ladies in the past, and they have not been as supportive with me in my entrepreneurial journey because of the long hours, because of the inconsistent schedule, because sometimes you just have to drop everything and go and do something that a client needs. Very similar to you. Put in perspective your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Real estate can be a roller coaster. 1 minute you can, be organizing and getting your things together for the next day, and you can have things drop right then and there and need to show a property or help a client out with, a need. And having someone that is understanding that eventually you're going to have quality time and that you're eventually going to get to that point of, realtors put down their phones. It's seldom, but we do put down our phones. We literally like to ignore people at some points just for a few hours to have
a life.
A life.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Bill Granford, Jonathan Galasso, Lily Adams, Pam Klein, Christy Adams, Tim Ryan, thank you for watching on our I Love CVille channel. On our CVille food channel, thank you, Debbie Brown, for joining us. Thank you, Chris Kallenstein, for joining us on our CVille food channel. Michael Guthrie, your CEO in the mix, very supportive of his agents. 7 channels now carrying the I Love CVille show across the I Love CVille network. If you could do us a favor, like and share the stream to put the positive spotlight on Charlottesville. Let's talk about you and your career specifically.
Yeah.
Real estate's competitive.
It is.
Competitive category.
It is.
You're a young guy.
Indeed.
Put in perspective the trials, the tribulations,
Sure.
the successes, the difficulties
Sure.
of breaking into arguably one of the most competitive categories from an entrepreneurial standpoint in Central Virginia.
Indeed.
And some of the things that you're doing to have success besides, my friend, besides your Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt-like looks. Okay? You can only leverage that so long, my friend. What are you doing to make an impact?
I think, with real estate, one of the biggest things is just keeping in mind that you are serving another person's needs in real estate. It's a big deal to purchase a home, sell their home. You're not just taking on a transaction, you're taking on someone's life. And it's a thing that you need to take seriously and that you need to be very loyal about. Loyalty is key. Keeping your clients near and dear. I have a saying that my clients become my friends and my family very shortly after, because after you've gone through the stresses and the excitement of purchasing and selling a home, you get very close with people. You're literally transporting yourself into their family for a very short period of time. And so loyalty and serving their needs is definitely important. As a young realtor, I have found networking is endless. Constantly just being in the right place at the right time, meeting up with people, whether it's running into you at the gym on a random day or running into 3 to 5 people at the gym most days. It's endless, it's relentless, and by continuously being out in town and not necessarily handing out a business card left and right, but just being there, people remember who you are and what you do, and that you're a person as much as you are an entrepreneur.
Did you, you're a smart guy, you're a James Madison University graduate,
Yep.
You come from a tremendous family, you have resources. Did you think other entrepreneurial endeavors, or were you like, I'm focused on real estate, I know this fits who I am, my DNA. What was going through your mind before you entered the field?
In all honesty, real estate has always been somewhere involved in my life. Growing up in several neighborhoods as Charlottesville was developed, moving from one neighborhood to the next, not often, but often enough that you would see the changes throughout town. And then, Crozet was nothing at one point, and now look at Old Trail and look at everything that's out there. And
it's crazy.
It's just crazy. And, you used to not think that Zion's Crossroads was ever going to be a pivotal in the real estate game, and people are driving 20 minutes to Zion's Crossroads every day. It's no big deal.
Because of the interstate.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
the interstate makes it close to everything. A lot of people on the stream here, guys. 7 different channels now broadcasting the I Love CVille show, including Alex's personal Facebook page, live on Roy Wheeler, live on the CVille Food, live on I Love CVille, live on Scoutology CVille, live across the I Love CVille network. Thank you, Danny Hastings, for watching the program. Thank you, Curtis Shaver, for tuning in, the executive chef at Peloton Station, for being a part of the show. If you guys can like and share the stream, that would mean a lot to us. Put a question in any chat box and we can relay it to Alex. How about how Charlottesville has changed? He is 30 years old.
Yep.
Born and raised in the area, then went to college not too far away, about an hour from Charlottesville and Central Virginia at James Madison University. Talk to me about what you remember as an adolescent, as a youth in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, and how that could be totally different in 2019.
Yeah. Well, growing up, I grew up in Glenmore. I was actually, within the first 20 homes in the neighborhood.
Wow.
It was mid 1990s. So to literally watch that neighborhood, bloom into what it is now, and then I've also lived out in Crozet when Crozet was just a blip on the radar. Lived in Corey Farms. Lived in Old Trail before Old Trail was fully developed. So, every about 5-7 years, just seeing Charlottesville have a transition from a new area being developed and pushing, further out. There's not a lot of areas to grow within the city of Charlottesville, so it's, being pushed out to the county. Every single corner you can get to is growing. And with that, you have the food and you have the culture that comes with it, because you need restaurants and you need coffee shops and local meeting places to keep the thing going. It's not just development. There has to come, community. There has to be a local economy, especially. And I think Charlottesville has proven, what it means to be local and really keeping that mentality, at mind.
That's a good answer. So there were 2 back-to-back sizzle reels there. The first sizzle reel was Alex talking about why he became a real estate agent. The second one was how we talked about the evolution of the city. I mean, do you think, you're a real estate agent, so I understand that you got to say the growth is good. Yeah. It's important. I mean, it fits your career path.
Sure.
First talk the evolution of Glenmore. So you saw Frank Kessler's dream become a reality. Yeah. I love stories like that. Yeah. Can you give me some insight, put that in perspective for me? Because you said you were one of the first 20 homes in Glenmore.
Yeah.
I mean, and now is it like 13? I mean, it's got to be well over 1,000, right?
I get lost.
Right.
I get lost.
You mean like that map that they provide at the gatehouse?
Same with Lake Monticello. Lake Monticello even 30 years ago was, not what it is today.
Dude, I feel like when I go into Lake Monticello, I feel like it's almost like a mousetrap, because there's only 2 entrances and exits.
Well, if they let you in the gate.
If they let you in the gate.
I've got my real estate license, and sometimes they won't even let me in the gate.
Well, is it because there's no one there because of the automatic arm?
Oh, no, I won't go to that.
Okay, you go to the main one.
Yeah, got to go to the main one.
Okay, so maybe that's my trouble. Yeah. Talk to me about the evolution of Glenmore, because I love these kind of stories.
Yeah,
you saw it.
Yeah, absolutely. I moved in when it was gravel roads, and to see the neighborhood just get pushed further back and further back, I spent a lot of time in the in the forest, in the woods, down by the Ravenna River, and just to see the homes grow, and the golf course, and then the people, and then one thing that I've always loved about Glenmore is how most of the UVA coaches, a lot of them have lived in Glenmore, so you could have a chance to maybe run into them at the pool on a random day or something like that, or go to school with their kids, and just kind of keep that whole local thing with where you live and where you work kind of in the same neighborhood. So yeah, it's been a lot of growth. House sizes have obviously gotten bigger than the mid 90s.
Right.
Depending on the lot size, you got double lots out there, and half-acre lots. Where here in the city of Charlottesville, you'd be lucky if you could find a half-acre or an acre lot to build a house.
You're totally right. Let me throw this to you. I've got to feel like, and we're talking real estate, we're talking growth in Charlottesville, guys. Okay, so let's just do a quick, very quick broad strokes. 29 North all the way to Greene County Yes, there's some pockets that Wendell Wood owns with United Land Company that could potentially still grow. But from what I've seen, 29 North from the city of Charlottesville all the way to Greene County, pretty much figured out from a growth standpoint.
Yeah.
I currently live in Redfields, 5th Street Extended, Avon Extended. These things are going bananas right now.
Absolutely.
With the flagship of Wegmans and the 5th Street Station, really encouraging development down that area. Then you look at 20 South, towards Scottsville, 29 South.
I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah. Let me put that in perspective. I feel like you're an expert. I'm trying to learn from folks like you. I feel like there's two areas that could potentially accommodate some serious growth.
Yep.
The 29 South and maybe your neck of the woods past Pantops Mountain. Once you get into Keswick and you get to split of the row, where left you can go to Keswick Hall, right you're going to Clifton or Glenmore. Put this into perspective for me.
Sure. There's just, back to 29 real quick. There used to be nothing up 29, and now it's just left and right. You got Forest Lakes all the way to Ruckersville, and there used to be nothing there. So I think, and I've been saying this since I started my career, I also live on the south side of town right now currently, that is where the most amount of growth, and part of the eastern side, like you were just saying, is probably where it's going to happen. There's still land out in Crozet. It's expensive. The south side of town, you can find lots and build on them for a less expensive price, and probably have a little bit of a view at the same time. So the growth on the south side of town, not just down 29 South, but also down 20. You've got Esmont. You've got a lot of areas where you could grow all the way to Scottsville. I personally envision it someday that Charlottesville and Scottsville are going to be a heck of a lot closer than people make it out to be.
And same with Crozet.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think people are used to the Crozet at this point.
Okay. So you don't see it expanding and sprawling more?
It does. It expands further. It expands to Waynesboro and it expands to Stanton. And I've had experience over in both of those places because people get frustrated with the Charlottesville market and then they see what they can get in a different area and they're quite happy.
Do you tell the folks that want to move to Charlottesville with a limited budget, hey, I understand that Charlottesville is where you'd like to live, but there's just not enough supply, and there's obscene demand for the limited supply that's on the market.
Yeah.
Have you considered Albemarle, Louisa, Orange, Fluvanna, Waynesboro, and how does that conversation go?
So a little bit of power of suggestion, a little bit of stats and facts, and then a little bit of them taking it home and coming to their own realization.
Okay.
It doesn't always go like that, but, a little bit of the mixture of those.
I love it. Michael Allenby, thank you for joining us. Gilly Garf, thank you for joining us. Mark Wagner, thank you for joining us here on the program. If you can like and share the stream, it would mean the world to us as we keep Charlottesville in a positive spotlight. On 7 channels, the I Love CVille Show, with 250,000 people reach over a 30-day period. You as as an agent, you as an entrepreneur, you as a lover of Charlottesville, what are you finding for the folks that are new to the area of why they want to move here, partner with you, work with you, and get involved here?
I think, I have a lot of first-time home buyers, so with experience of letting folks know that, you might have to look at other options other than Charlottesville. Working with first-time home buyers, you're literally helping them from start to finish. Find a mortgage lender. Which, by the way, real estate is a team effort. I've got to give a little bit of a nod to the mortgage broker I work with, Jay Dominic.
Oh my gosh, dude, he's literally on the feed right now and said, "Great job."
Because it has a lot to do with your support with your mortgage lender. You've got a team, and not every client wants to talk finances with you, but when they talk it with the mortgage broker, it kind of, makes it a little easier and puts it in perspective for them, because then I'm not completely letting them down or getting their hopes up too high.
Jay Dominic of Movement Mortgage, literally giving you props right now.
Jay's done a great job. We've had a great business relationship, a lot of happy clients.
I like it. Jay Dominic, if you have a question for the man. Yeah. Oh, Harris Tolber giving you a shout out there, Jay Dominic. So we have some commonalities here on the I Love CVille Show. Let's throw this to you. As a young guy breaking into the market, we've touched on it already. You talked about networking. Yep. You're great with people. You are a man about town. Your future is bright because you have 30 years of being in this gig. What are you seeing the advice that you offer to other folks trying to get in the mix, try to consider this field? What do you say? Just say, hey, stay the heck away.
I want to.
Yeah, because you want the whole pie for yourself.
But also, it's nice to meet. It's nice to meet younger agents. At the same time, it's nice to meet agents of any age. You know, it's exciting to see someone take on the endeavor of being an entrepreneur, and you know, hoping that they can come along and get it together and start to succeed. You know, the stats are against younger realtors. The stats are against realtors that are, you know, at about 2 and 3 years. So, you know, you got to build them up. And I have spoken with other folks about, you know, if they're thinking about being a realtor. And, you know, the number one thing I would say is, you know, working for yourself and having the discipline to do it is not as easy as it seems. You really have to stay focused. You have to stay, you know, on the work grind, and you have to be willing to take on things that you might not necessarily, you know, think are the best, you know, real estate. But, you know, it's networking, and it's
getting your brand out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And a good example of that is the Fork Union market.
Yeah,
we talked about this briefly at a networking event, and you have no problem cornering the Fork Union market.
Not at all. Actually went to Fork Union Military Academy, graduated from there, and I still drive out there a couple times a year, whether I'm looking at property or I'm visiting the academy. You know, you've got folks that live out there, and they commute to Charlottesville, they commute to Richmond, or they, you know, simply live out there and work out there. But they do need places to go, like Charlottesville, and Fork Union's great. I'd be happy to continue to work out there. And I think Charlottesville, as we were just talking about, is pushing further. That's far south, but you know, it's in the car MLS, and I'm willing to go there.
Yeah, totally. You're willing to hustle. You're willing to work.
Absolutely.
You're not afraid to work. Let me throw this to you. I envision, you know, you and I, young guys, we have decades left in this market, pursuing the things that we like to do.
Sure.
I'm envisioning a Central Virginia that's looking like this, and I'm curious of your perspective.
Sure.
So Charlottesville is always going to be the hub. Charlottesville, as we know, has gotten a lot of press, best place to live in America. Yep. It's brought a lot of New York money into the market, which is driving home prices and, you know, up. The Yankee money's driving. And
you've got investors from outside of town, left and right, purchasing to get you know, investment properties.
Exactly. So here's where I'm going: is Charlottesville as a whole is always going to be the hub. But what I'm seeing is the outer counties like Louisa, Orange, Fluvanna, Greene, Nelson. They're growing very strong.
Yeah,
Waynesboro is growing from that side of the mountain, over the mountain to Central Virginia. We see with Zion's Crossroads, which you've touched on really well, how Zion's Crossroads is eventually going to be tied to Charlottesville as well. I honestly think, Alex, and this is the question I have for you, and if you disagree, tell me. I honestly think that we're going to live in an area in 10 years where, like, the west end of Richmond, Short Pump, is going to be touching like Zion's Crossroads.
Yeah, I absolutely agree
because of that interstate. I see Crozet potentially spilling more toward Ivy. Ivy's potentially spilling more to city of Charlottesville. Yep. Waynesboro coming over the mountain. I mean, we're going to live in this huge stratosphere and this huge ecosystem where Charlottesville's the center, the epicenter, and it's going to go from Richmond to Waynesboro with growth all over it. Talk to me about what you're seeing.
I absolutely agree with you. You've got places from Zion's to Crossroads, new construction, all the way to Richmond, and it eventually is going to take off, and you're going to see new neighborhoods get developed out there, and it's going to be people that maybe you have one spouse that's in Charlottesville working, and you've got the other in Richmond, and they want a little bit more privacy out in the, you know, Mineral, Louisa area. Speaking of Louisa, Louisa's got a lot of growth happening. You're seeing it happen all the way from Zion's Crossroads into actually the city of Louisa with a lot of, you know, they're investing in their infrastructure, they're investing in their schools, they're doing a lot to make Louisa very desirable to live in. And other counties are as well. I think Louisa's doing it at maybe a little bit more of a rapid rate. Yeah, and I think the county that's really doing a rapid rate is Greene County. And we had Matthew Woodson, one of your colleagues at Roy Wheeler, and I encourage you guys to go to ilovecville.com and look at Matthew Woodson's interview. Let's give some props to people watching. You have a lot of folks watching right now. Caitlin Mancini, props to you. Thanks for tuning in on the Roy Wheeler channel. CVille Food is hopping right now. Debbie Brown, Tim Ryan, thank you for joining us on the show. A couple other, Jeremy Stanwyck, Matt Taylor, John Gilmore, Chris Turner, Dan Barnes,
Orange, Jonathan Galasso, a lot of folks over on our CVille Food channel. On I Love CVille, Bawn Romer, Pam Klein, Christy Adams, Lily Adams. We're also broadcasting on Alex's personal Facebook page as we speak. Bob Shada and Bobby Kirby, thank you for tuning into the show. Michael Guthrie, thank you for tuning in. Anja Andalik, thank you for tuning in. Guthrie's got a couple comments for you.
Okay.
Guthrie says, Roy Wheeler is a proud supporter of Fork Union Military Academy, Fork Union strong. And he says people are already living in Old Trail and working at Augusta Medical Center in the Valley, reinforcing what we talk about. Jump in here and give me some perspective here, Alex.
Sure. Well, speaking of working over on the other side of the mountain, people are willing to go there. People want to go there. Waynesboro, Stanton, even as far as Harrisonburg. Back to the JMU thing. I know folks that live in Waynesboro and Stanton, and they drive to Harrisonburg. So things. Back to what you were just talking about, things are getting pushed out there. In terms of investment opportunities, too, you've got those in Waynesboro where you can, either put a little bit of sweat equity into a property and then lease it out, or, whether you're willing to, have a first-time home purchase and put the equity into it for that, or whether you want to be a property manager. There's a lot of opportunity over there.
I love it. I love it. A couple people giving you props. Emily Lincoln says, I recommend Alex Tiscornia for anything.
Absolutely.
Caitlin Mancini says, great seeing you on the show, Alex. Michael Guthrie says he's tuning into the program from Richmond, Virginia as we speak. Fork Union Military Academy is jumping on the feed. We see CBS 19, and they're constantly studying the show. I feel like they may be a little threatened by what we're doing here, and I love it. Yeah. I love it. I love when I love to compete, baby. I will compete with anybody here. Let's throw a couple things for you. Let's create some sizzle reels for you. You're a very pleasant conversationalist, and you've already filled half the program. It's so easy with you. Let me throw this to you. Investment properties, you've touched on it.
Yeah.
Okay? Give me, for the people that want to make a buck, okay? Whether it's an investor or whether it's someone that wants to buy a home, live in it for a little while, and then flip the home in a few years and make some bank because they accumulate equity very quickly.
Yeah.
Alex Tiscornia's playbook to making a buck with real estate in Central Virginia. Give it to us.
Duplexes, side-by-side units where you can get multiple income coming from that. If you can get a quad unit, if you can get even just someone, or if you have the money that you can invest in turning a property into one of those. I mean, look at Belmont, for example. Everything used to be a residential home, and then they cut it in half, and they leave no dishwasher in any of those houses. Had to comment on that.
So you say duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes. The
Yes.
tough part about it, take it from the city of Charlottesville standpoint, I think it's 56% of land in the city is zoned R1 for single-family detached homes.
Yep.
So maybe that like duplex, triplex, quadplex, you probably ain't going to find a lot of those in the city of Charlottesville.
You aren't, but when you find them, you need to jump on them.
Yeah, and those are the ones that I've got to think are in hot demand. A good example is one of your colleagues, Sarah Hill Buchensky, sent me kind of like an off-market tip. I believe it was a $70,000 listing in Waynesboro, and the $70,000 listing in Waynesboro, which I considered generating about $1,200 a month in cash flow, which more than covers the mortgage.
Absolutely.
At $70,000 a clip. Talk to me about just how you see the price points change when you go outside the heart, 10 miles away of the heart of the city.
Yeah, it absolutely drops. The affordability levels of residential and investment properties is there. It just depends on what you're willing to sacrifice. That's what real estate has a lot to do with. You might be having to sacrifice the commute, but in the process, you're getting a bigger home. You might be getting more land. It just depends on what you're willing to work with.
As a 30-year-old, what are you willing to sacrifice?
Ooh, that's tough. See, I do want a little bit. I want a little bit of land personally.
Yeah. Okay.
Just enough so that my dog I can let her out, and I don't have to worry about anybody next to us with another dog or,
Yeah.
a neighbor that doesn't like dogs.
Okay. So what you will not sacrifice is a backyard.
Got to have a backyard, at least of some sort.
What will you sacrifice?
What would I sacrifice? I'd probably sacrifice the commute.
Interesting.
If you can find the right property, some people think 30 minutes is a long commute. Look at people in Northern Virginia. They spend hours in their car. And Charlottesville...
You think we're spoiled?
We're spoiled.
Yeah.
You know, I do
You're
get
right.
frustrated on 29 on a Friday afternoon, but at the end of the day, guys, we're spending like 20, 30 minutes tops in traffic around here. And that is changing. I mean, we're seeing that, we're running out of lanes of traffic on 29 and 250 and even on 64. We're running out of lanes for traffic for people to get up to Carter Mountain there in the fall.
Brittany Moore joining us on the program from Sasha Farmer's team. Brittany Moore, the proud Orange County High School graduate, one time a fierce basketball player on the hardwood. Brittany, thank you for tuning in. James Watson, thank you so much for tuning in. Now live on 7 channels across the I Love CVille network. I'm going to say this is getting more engagement and reach than the newscasts, undoubtedly. What are your thoughts on affordable housing in the city? I got to ask you
Absolutely.
this question.
There's not enough. Point and simple, there's just not enough. There's not enough affordable housing. Developers are continuously, with new construction competing. It's buying up land that you could either have stayed affordable housing or is not going to be any longer. So there needs to be more. I got to give a shout out to Mr. Dave Matthews for making it such a big point with his donation to affordable housing after the last concerts that they did here in town. Crescent Hall needs massive renovations. He touched on that. I'm touching on it now because affordable housing, not everybody can afford to live in Belmont. Not everybody can afford to live in a new construction home. And the rent prices keep growing. Rental prices in Charlottesville are growing at a higher rate than the national average, which makes it much more difficult for folks to continue even holding down the lease that they've lived in for a year or two because the landlord knows that they could re-rent it and get more money.
Have you experienced that firsthand?
I have, clearly.
Talk to me about that because I've experienced this firsthand.
Absolutely.
What have you experienced?
Well, when you live at a property and then it comes down to the lease renewal and they show you what the percentage of the rent is increasing on the year, and then you find out, well, what is it including anything else? Are you making any repairs? What services are going to be
They have all the leverage.
They have all the leverage.
Yeah.
They have all the leverage.
Yeah, and it's not always the case, guys. It's certainly in the city of Charlottesville where they have all the leverage. Dude, I remember, and you'll appreciate this, you're a young guy. I went to UVA, me and my buddies. We left the bubble that was the University of Virginia.
Yeah.
And went to Belmont.
Okay.
On to Little Graves.
Yep.
And it was 4 guys dead broke.
Yep.
Early 20s. Just starting our jobs.
About 15 years ago?
It was, something like that.
Yep.
I would say, about 13 years ago.
When Belmont just maybe started being a blip on
When
the
it was
radar?
exploding.
Yeah.
Right as it was exploding.
Yep.
Like to the point where I had the old guard in Belmont living on Little Graves with the beat up trucks on cinder blocks in the yard.
Oh, yeah.
Right next to the doctor who took a home from $225,000 and made it a $500,000 home because of massive renovation. And every day the doctor would walk outside and have to look at the El Camino on cinder blocks over his coffee and what
Sounds
the hell
like
did I
Belmont.
just buy? Okay?
Yep.
And so it was a cool time to live in Belmont. Where I'm going with this is it's 4 dudes in our early 20s. We're dead broke. We rented a place that was a 3-bedroom house, and then we figured out to put the 4th guy in the attic.
Oh.
He had to climb a rope ladder to get to the attic, and that was his bedroom. Of course, if you put 4 guys in a 3-bedroom, it's going to make the rent more affordable. Mm-hmm. And the whole reason we wanted to live there, I'm just going to cut to the chase, is because we wanted to stumble home from the bars.
Yeah.
The convenience of being downtown.
Yeah.
So that's my perspective of trying to make it in this town fresh out of college with no money. And dude, it was so hard, Alex.
Yeah.
Talk to me about some of the stuff you've experienced.
Pets. It's tough to rent to folks that have pets in the city of Charlottesville. They make it very difficult for folks with pets. Charlottesville's a very pet-friendly town, and it's getting to the point of everybody's charging monthly rental rates for their pets, non-refundable security deposits. I personally think I understand why they do it. It's to secure their asset and their property, and they want to make sure it's not destroyed. But at the end of the day, it takes rent to the next level of almost exclusivity that you just get fine. I'll get rid of my pet so I can have a really nice place to live, and you shouldn't have to make that sacrifice.
Can we turn that into a sizzle reel?
Sure.
Because that was good. I can relate to that. I've had a dog since college, and we could not take certain homes because they're like, no way we're going to allow a dog.
Yeah.
And the reality is, it's 50% of people more than 50% have pets.
Yeah.
And it just shows you how much leverage the landlords have, that they can snub their nose at more than 50% of the renting population because they know there's so much demand it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
You got a lot of people giving you props here. First, let's start with Ma Dukes. Pam Klein says, great job, Alex. I love you, Mom.
Thank you, Mother.
Thank you, Pam Klein, for joining us. Lily Adams says, so proud of all your hard work, Alex. You are crushing it right now. So you got some people really giving you some props. I got a lot of questions I want to throw to you. How about this? Where would somebody run into you on a day off? Not that you have many.
Sure.
Where would they run into you?
A lot of half days off in real estate.
Okay.
But if you were to run into me, if you'd be lucky to run into me, it would probably be somewhere, on the western or southwestern side of town. I would probably be at Walnut Creek Park. You could find me at Meadow Creek Park in town. I recently took up disc golf with the Blue Ridge Disc Golf Club. Did not think that was going to be a hobby or sport or whatever you want to call it that I would be involved in at age 30. But hey, it's a great way to walk the dog and get out on a sunny day and hang out with the guys. You probably find me at one of the breweries. I know we touched on it. I've got a good friend at Wild Wolf, Danny Wolf. Spend a lot of time, listening to his recipes that he's working on creating or what's going on in Nelson County. He's my ear to the ground down there. You might find me all the way further in Nelson County on a hike or on a Jeep ride. It just depends. I do try to spend a lot of time outside, though. One of my favorite things to do that relates from me as a person, but also as a real estate agent, is to get lost in Charlottesville. I literally enjoy driving into a neighborhood that I've never been into and getting lost, just to get a feel for the neighborhood and say, I didn't know this was here.
That was good.
I didn't know this was here. I really enjoy doing that.
That was good. Sizzle reel that, my boy Harris Tolbert. We got some questions coming in for you. These are questions across the smorgasbord of spectrum, but they're good questions. First, let's say Sarah Hill Buchensky says, the lack of commute is why people love living in Charlottesville in the area compared to what we were talking about with Northern Virginia. We agree with Sarah Hill Buchensky.
Absolutely.
Michael Guthrie says there are home builders in Charlottesville and Central Virginia that are now focusing on the Shenandoah Valley.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. This comes from Lauren, and she wants to know, from your experience, how common are home sale contingencies when trying to buy another home? And what she means by this, I'll do the layman's perspective, you give the expert answer. Yeah. So what she means by this is if John Smith and Jennifer Smith own a home, and I'll just use my example.
Go for it.
Own a home in Redfields. And they have tremendous equity in that home in Redfields. And they would like to sell this home in Redfields and use the equity that they have in their home to potentially climb the ladder, to go to another home.
You see it a lot around here.
You see it a lot around here. So here's where I'm going with this is, how common is when you make a deal on another house and that deal is contingent on selling your personal home first so the person does not have to carry two mortgages, which could be a potential disaster for a family. Yeah. Home sale contingencies, how common, according to Lauren? She has the question.
Charlottesville is a competitive market. It absolutely happens. I've encountered it quite a few times myself, where you have a client who really loves a property that came on the market. They have a great house. They want to climb the ladder, like you were saying. And I hear about it often, especially, not so much with first-time home buyers. I do specialize working with a lot of first-time home buyers, but second-time buyers.
Right, because the first-time home buyer can't do a home sale contingency because they don't own a home.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
But, you do see it. You see contingencies for home sales a lot of the time.
I love it. Okay, so
people want to move from one neighborhood to the next in Charlottesville. It happens all the time. I've met people that move almost every, like 4 to 6 years. And it's just like, we found a new place in Charlottesville. Really will enjoy.
The average person moves every 7 years, statistically from a national trend. So you say home sale contingencies are very common.
Not very common, but you do see them often.
Often. Okay. Rod Brunel joining us on the program. Rod Brunel, whose daughter, perhaps the best basketball player in the area, Sam. Yeah. What's up, Rod Brunel? Josh Hill, thank you for joining us on the program. Sharon Cavender, who's watching from South Carolina, says that gorgeous views and scenic routes, fantastic planning and respect for green space are what makes Charlottesville great. Sharon Cavender also says, I own in Virginia and West Virginia. Soothing, beautiful, convenient, great shopping in town, great views. It's the quality of life that makes our area great. Michael Buchensky of First Heritage Mortgage. We have two mortgage companies, Movement Mortgage and First Heritage Mortgage, currently watching, with multiple brokers watching the stream as we speak. Michael Buchensky says bridge loans can alleviate the home sale contingency stress for the right buyer. Interesting. Yeah. Your thoughts on that?
It's for the right buyer.
Okay, talk to me about that.
You've got to be able to afford to be able to do the bridge loan.
Yeah.
So it's just not everybody can do it. But when you're in the position that you're able to, it can, like he just said, alleviate the stress of doing that.
Good tip right there, Michael Buchensky. Keep going.
It just depends on, the bridge loan. It's another loan. You've got to pay it back. There's interest involved in that. And what if something falls through? You've then put yourself in a tough position.
Okay, walk through. Okay, we're getting a lot of feedback on this topic. This topic is hitting close to home for a lot of people here. What would you do then? I mean, would you do with the person that owns the home and wants to buy another home, but the person wants to sell their home first so they don't have to carry the two mortgages? What's the strategy you put in play?
Are we talking about on the buying side or the selling? On the selling side?
Both
on the
sides.
selling side?
Yeah.
I would probably look for someone without contingencies.
Well, of course. Yeah, of course. How about the other side?
The other side, I think you need to, put it under a microscope and work with the selling side needs to have close contact and make sure that, what they're trying to do is going to follow through. People make attempts in real estate that aren't entirely, genuine. Yeah. Because they want to climb the ladder and maybe they don't fully have all their ducks in a row in order to do that.
Good stuff. I'm going to throw this to you again because a lot of people are interested on this. Sharon, Michael Buchensky, if you're watching, and Jay Dominic of Movement Mortgage and your colleagues that are also watching, Sharon would like more information on the bridge loan. So if either of you fellas can post that information in the comment box and we'll relay it to Sharon on the show, that would be absolutely amazing. The I Love CVille Show across 7 channels now on the I Love CVille network, and I think you guys see the questions coming in rapid fire with the additional channels. Let's throw this to you here. Do you like working with buyers or sellers more, and why?
It depends on the listing.
Okay.
If you have a desirable listing, you're probably going to spend 3 times as much getting it ready, pre-marketing it, getting ready to sell, and then as soon as you get on the market, it's going to go quick. So having desirable listings is very exciting to work with. You get to know the home well, you get to know it, as best as you can because you're selling it, and you need to have every single bit of information in order to sell it. And the more the better you're going to sell it. For the buying side, back to the service and loyalty, I feel like you're really getting involved with someone on their first home purchase, really getting to know them, emotionally, financially, and getting through that process. I find to be a little bit more demanding with the first-time home buyers than it is with selling the home. They're both equally as rewarding, and I want to make that a point. That the end goal is to achieve their goals and their desires, and when you're able to do that on either side, that feels good.
We have Steve Riley, who lives in Keswick, and Steve Riley, who looks like he's got some, I'm not going to assume what you do for a living, but by the comment and question you're asking here, you clearly get the game, Steve Riley. And he says, agents are often too scared of home sale contingencies when representing their sellers because of the active with a kick-out clause. The agents representing the sellers think the active with a kick-out clause will keep other potential buyers from touring or showing interest in the home when it's active with a kick-out, and the kick-out is often the home sale contingency. Yep. He says that's false. People will still consider the home that's active with a kick-out. I'm curious of your thoughts on this. That topic is getting a lot of traction here.
It depends on the client.
Okay.
Some people, yes, it might cause enough anxiety that they're like, I don't know about that. But if it's a desirable enough home and a great price point, yeah, they're gonna be interested enough to be involved with the active with kick-out. So that's...
Good answer right there. Kenny Gilbert, thank you for watching us. Bobby Castine, thank you for watching us. On the I Love CVille channel, mucho personas on the I Love CVille channel watching us right now. We certainly appreciate Grace, Rob Lawson, Rick Henderson. We've given some love already to Scott. No, we haven't. Scott McNully watching us right now. And we're streaming on Alex's personal Facebook page as well. How about this question for you? What have you seen change while growing up in Charlottesville? We've touched on it already. We have new people tuning into the program. What have you changed? You're 30 years old, 3 decades in the area. What has changed?
Local community.
Okay.
The sense of it is very strong here with I Love CVille, and I think that people really feel that sense of community, and it's grown. I mean, back to bringing the people from the outskirts that are in the different counties to this epicenter of town, which is Charlottesville. It's just grown exponentially. I grew up when walking on the downtown mall, your parents might question, "Oh, you're going to the downtown mall to walk around?" But because nobody was on the downtown mall walking around back in the day. And now you run into 5-10 different people every time on the downtown mall. And so just to see the growth in the food and the restaurants, the vineyards and the breweries again, and the farmers market. I mean, look at Charlottesville on the weekend and bringing people again from the county who grow the produce to bring it to town and interact with people. The sense of buy local is there, eat local, the whole thing. I'm a big fan of the whole, change and evolution of Charlottesville. And you find all sorts of little micro, communities within the bigger and larger community. And, you might, whether they're clubs or whether they're organizations, they're all a key piece to the bigger picture of Charlottesville. One of the interesting areas that I thought would never get developed is Ix Park. I mean, look at it. 10, 15 years ago, again, like the downtown mall, you wouldn't walk through Ix Art Park. You might question it. I used to walk through it all the time because I lived on Elliott Avenue. But look at what it's become now, and with the potential for holding festivals there, and the food, and again the arts. It's grown. And Charlottesville can be separate from the University of Virginia, and I think a lot of people correlate the two. And yes, they're very closely related, but Charlottesville is a much, much bigger community than just the university. It's intertangled and intertwined, but Charlottesville is its own thing at the same time.
Sizzle reel that. That was well thought out, well articulated. You have a lot of questions coming in here. A lot of questions on the home sale contingency. We clearly have hit.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think it's just because people just don't have enough knowledge when it comes to it. Someone's giving you props. David Arvello.
Mr. Arvello. Yeah, we went to Fork Union together, actually.
David Arvello says, if I was going to move to Charlottesville, there's nobody else that I trust to be my realtor besides Alex. Plus, with Alex Tiscornia, he is a handsome dude who can give you great wine advice.
Well, thank you, David. It is true.
He says it's true. Where did you get the wine acumen? Was that from Pippin?
It's definitely from Pippin.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that experience, because you've worked
Sure.
with 2 fabulous entrepreneurs in, was it Lynn and James?
Dean.
Lynn and Dean. Talk to me about that.
Pippin Hill used to be a little vineyard on the hill. It was very little known about it, and then it just blew up. The views, the food, the wine, the program that they're trying to push with the food and wine, farm to table. It represents what Charlottesville, again, as a community is really, going for. I really enjoy talking and being around food and wine. If you know me, back to one of your first questions, if you know me and know me well, that's what I like to do. Usually, invite a big group of friends over and enjoy a bottle of wine that we've brought either home from work or from a different vineyard, or another friend that works at a different vineyard or a brewery bringing over theirs, and trying it and sharing it and being a part of the bigger picture. Tourism, agro-tourism, hospitality in Charlottesville is big, and I like to keep my finger on the pulse.
Sharon wants to know, and we've touched on this briefly, she wants to know, hot sales, hot markets, get to it right now. Where can we make a buck? You've touched on it already. That's what she'd like to know.
Yeah. I'm going to go again with Waynesboro. Home prices are much more affordable, whether you're a first-time home buyer or whether you're looking to do an investment opportunity. Hot sales there. Sales in Charlottesville are tough. It's a seller's market. I think the opportunity to make a quick buck is there, but you've got to be ready to strike, and you've got to have your client ready to go at any given moment. And when we get notification emails in the middle of the night, in the middle of the morning, that says a property gets listed for, whatever client that we have specifically looking for that property. And again, I think it's on a per client basis and serving what they need and what they want. But you need to be ready to go in this town.
You got to move. You got to move. There's no paralysis of analysis in real estate in Charlottesville, because that will keep you from getting what you want. Jeff Gaffney, thank you for joining us here on the program. The show is now live on 7 channels across the I Love CVille network. And dudes, I'm just going to straight up say it. We're with 7 channels now. We are reaching more people than the newscasts are reaching, especially with the evergreen nature of this content lasting in perpetuity. A lot of people are asking questions about Fork Union Military Academy.
Oh, great.
And maybe
Glad to talk about
maybe it's the teachers. Maybe it's folks over at Fork Union now. They want you to put in perspective your time at Fork Union and what you learned.
Yeah, absolutely. Fork Union was great. I'm very grateful to have gone there. Being involved, there's never a dull moment at Fork Union. You have very little free time to yourself, so you learn to develop skills and disciplines that when you finally get to having a moment to yourself, that you value it even more, because it's worth all the hard work that you went through to get it, or to actually be on the athletic field. You had to have discipline enough to be able to play sports. And a lot of schools are the opposite. Fork Union really instilled a sense of being a part of something bigger than myself, whether it's the entire academy or a smaller group of friends. I stay in close contact with a handful or two of folks all over the United States, whether it's once or twice a month. A lot of folks from the local public schools, they all see each other. They still live in town, but Fork Union's a much bigger thing when you have folks, even globally living, and that is, it helps mold people at Fork Union, because you meet people from so many different backgrounds at Fork Union. And I really think that helps us as young men develop, with a little bit more discipline.
A lot of...
And structure.
And I've had a chance to get to know some fantastic people at FUMA. Dan Thompson, who you know.
Absolutely.
Inhuman Schumann, John Schumann.
Absolutely.
Who's now the athletics director, previously the postgraduate football coach. Mickey Sullivan, who was the athletic director, now retired, was the prep football coach. Fletcher Eric, great people.
Yeah.
Great people.
They got much bigger shoes than I do.
Let me throw this to you here. Go FUMA from Luke Babb. Luke Babb loves FUMA. A lot of FUMA folks watching right now.
Good.
The city, in the city of Charlottesville, there's a misconception that it's only a military boarding school for troubled folks. That's not the case at all.
I chose to go there. I chose to go there so that I had a better chance of getting into a good college and being more successful. I needed to pick up some life skills and avoid going down bad paths. And so by being highly structured environment that Fork Union has to offer, like I said, you never have much time to yourself. So you're constantly doing something. And just like in real estate and in my life, I try to stay as active and as busy as possible. I need those alone times to myself to obviously, take some time and breathe and enjoy the outdoors. But other than that, I like to be fast-paced and constantly involved in activities and going from one person to the next. And Fork Union was a lot of that. You would go from your classes that you're with, but then you'd go hang out with your lacrosse friends, or you'd go hang out with your swimming friends. And you were forced to live with certain people, but you didn't always have to hang out with them the entire time. But you were at least learning life skills of how to live with people, because I think with Fork Union, I met so many people and were involved in so many different situations, and the way I handled it then, learning from it, has helped, later in life to either react or just not react.
Dude, the show is hopping right now. It is adding the 7 channels has really added the participation. Tiffany Smith jumps in the mix here. Tiffany Smith, one of the fabulous entrepreneurs in Charlottesville. She owns the Virginia shop. She says, I love you guys. Alex, you sound great. Jerry Miller, you're doing a great job for the Charlottesville community. The Ryan Seacrest of CVille, maybe with the same hair.
I can see it.
Someone wants to know about Gordonsville. Any future and potential in the Gordonsville market, Alex?
There is. I personally don't have a whole lot of experience in the Gordonsville market, but with that area growing. Speaking of Gordonsville, I got to give a shout out to Barbecue Exchange with Craig Hartman.
He's the man.
He's the man.
Yeah, but you love the food?
Absolutely. I try to get out there whenever I'm on that side of town, I try to go through there. But yeah, Orange County, Gordonsville, connecting things from Barboursville back into that area, you're going to see it grow. It's one of those pockets where there is going to be some changes over the next 20 years, definitely.
I love it. Let's take what he was talking about, the question before that, Fort Union Military Academy, and turn it into a sizzle reel for him. Keep going, Alex. What was on your mind?
I was just going to say, if you've never had a chance to drive through, downtown's Gordonsville, I mean, it's a beautiful, historic town.
Yeah. It's intimate.
Whether you're looking to have something a little bit more rural or in the actual, town of Gordonsville, back in the day, driving to Northern Virginia, you wouldn't think to stop in Gordonsville. And now you could probably spend half a day in Gordonsville just walking around, eating, and hanging out. And, again, look for it 10 to 15 years. A little slower development, but it is happening.
Let me throw this to you. These are the tough questions. And you handle this. You are so good at this.
Well, I appreciate it.
You're confident, you're composed, charming, charismatic.
I'm going to tell you if I don't know the answer to something, too.
Please do. Please do. These are the tough questions. And it's related to food, booze, fun, and hiking.
The tough questions.
So you have no problem. Yeah. All right, you hyped Craig Hartman and Barbecue Exchange. I love C. Hartman and Barbecue Exchange. In fact, Craig Hartman and Jacqueline, his right-hand person at Barbecue Exchange, catered our wedding.
Oh, really?
They did a fantastic job. Top barbecue in the area. That's the question, my friend.
Oh, that's
Rank
tough.
them. Rank them and why. Top barbecue in the area. And it can be in Central Virginia.
I'm going to be worried next time I go into the barbecue joints now. I've got to stay at the top Barbecue Exchange. I actually had the privilege to work under Craig Hartman at Keswick Hall as my first job back in the day when I was about 16, working over at Keswick Hall. Highly rank that. I've got to say that smoked barbecue out in Crozet is absolutely amazing. And then for a third tie, I've got to say Moe's and what's the other one out by Preston? Behind Bodo's.
Are you talking about Ace Biscuit and Barbecue?
Ace Biscuit and Barbecue, of course. I like to go to Ace for breakfast, though, because you can get a sunny side up egg on top of your barbecue sandwich.
It's so good.
And you can't do that at the other places.
It's so good. Does it surprise you? Brought up Bodo's, and you're getting some big-time props here. Jake Jacobson, Alex Tiscornia, this is awesome, man. You sound amazing.
Thanks, Jake.
Tyler Ruff, it just says, I'm laughing hysterically throughout this whole thing. This is so entertaining. And he suggests Ace Biscuit and Barbecue. Luke Babb says, this reminds me that my wife and I need to get back to Charlottesville, a day trip for vineyards and shopping. You guys sound fantastic. He's listening outside the area. Both Michael Buchensky of First Heritage Mortgage and Jay Dominic of Movement Mortgage have given insight into the bridge loan that we've talked about. A lot of questions coming on the home sale contingency. This is crazy. It's just obvious that people don't know much about it. Kathy Joseph, thank you for watching us. Amanda Spagoni, daughter of Rick Spagoni, watching on the show. Lee Miller, who we met at Champion Brewing Company, watching on our Jerry Miller channel. The I Love CVille channel is hopping. The Roy Wheeler channel is hopping. The CVille Food channel is hopping. And so is the Alex Tiscornia channel, to the point where we are already at our 60-minute marker, but I want to keep going with this dude, because I feel like it's just two guys sitting in a bar talking about a place we love, Charlottesville.
More natural than I thought it was going to be.
You were so good at this, dude. And you were nervous about it. You're so good. A little bit. This is what you brought up Bodo's. People talking about Bodo's on the trip right now, on the chat.
Yeah.
Does it not shock you? And I did a post, dude. I did a post on my personal Facebook page about Bodo's. And can you think of the only category in Charlottesville, Virginia that has no competition? Is bagels.
Yeah, it's true.
It's almost blasphemous for us to say anything bad about Bodo's.
I've had New Jersey and New York folks that have come down and tried Bodo's, and they tried to swear it off, and they tried it, and they admitted that it's probably the best bagel they've had outside of New York City.
My wife is from Long Island, and she says, no way, Jose. And she's an Irish Catholic.
Hey, there's something in the water around here.
So why?
That's what makes the best bagel.
You've spent 30 years in Charlottesville.
Yes.
Why is there no competition to Bodo's Bagels in Charlottesville? It's the only category. Let me throw this to you. Can I throw this? This is the only. You're an entrepreneur and a businessman. Okay, you're a smart guy.
Yep.
It's very obvious. And Jake Jacobson says, all right, this is going to his head. We don't need to blow up his head. He's okay. He's not great. Jake, thank you for that contribution, my boy. That's your buddy?
Yeah, he's trying to keep me humble over here.
Okay. Here's where I'm going with it. You're an entrepreneur businessman. The only category I can think of in Charlottesville, Virginia that has no competition is bagels. Not a single one.
It's true.
Panera Bread has some so-so ones. There was Chesapeake Bagel Company in Barracks Road at one time that closed down.
Yeah.
Why no competition in this category?
Well, first of all, it's cheap.
Okay.
It's really good, and it's fast. You can get in and out of Bodo's for an order of like 12 people in under 10 minutes, depending on what time you go. If you go at the rush times at like 12 o'clock or on Sunday at 11 and 12 o'clock, it's tough. But, those three things really make it a happening spot. I take clients to Bodo's. I pick up Bodo's. It's like a peace offering in this town. Whether you've goofed up or you're trying to make someone happy to make their day better or whatever, you bring them a Bodo's bagel and it makes everything better.
That's true. And you know what? When I did that post about why is there no competition in Bodo's, I got bombarded with hate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, it was like, it's like blasphemous to go against the brand. And I'm not going against the brand. I'm just highlighting something that I've seen in the marketplace.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all I'm saying here. I support small business owners, and I support folks like us that are doing an honest day's work and making an honest day's wage.
Well, yeah, and to the best of my knowledge, Bodo's is, the gentleman who owned it sold it to fellow employees, and now they're running it and operating it. And I think that's quintessential Charlottesville, kind of passing of the torch of local businesses.
And, props to Alex. He's a well-connected guy. He's exactly right. The founder of Bodo's sold Bodo's to his 3 managers. And now each manager at one time owned a Bodo's, and they've recently consolidated ownership under one umbrella. Now it's all owned by one entity. I have Matt Toronto. Matt Toronto watching in Long Island. The show's up in Long Island. I see you, Matt Toronto. Other places you like to go restaurant-wise? Because you and I both love food.
All right, well, my new favorite restaurant in town, of course, is Prime 109. You've got
Really?
Ian Redshaw and Allie Redshaw over there. They do a great job. Love sitting at the chef's bar and watching them cook food. They've got great steaks, great wine list. I'm known to pop in there every now and then just to say, hey. I got to go for the salads, and the specials are especially what makes that place. You don't have to go for the steak every time. You go for the specials. And that's true with other restaurants too. You go for the specials because the chefs are really excited to promote something that's a little different than what's offered every day off of a menu.
Prime 109. I have yet to go.
Really?
Yeah, and I go now. I have an 11-month-old, so things are a little more complicated.
Yeah.
Ducats. And and I love what Laura Mendoza are doing, Mitchell Barons. You talk about Ian and Allie.
Yeah.
I mean, they're super, super talented.
Yeah, all of them.
I mean, a big-time steak joint comes into and competes toe-to-toe with the Downtown Grill and Aberdeen Barn.
I think it's raising the bar for the town. If we're going to call ourselves a culinary town, I think you need a restaurant like that here.
I like it. What's it missing? What is it missing from a culinary standpoint in Charlottesville?
What is it missing?
Because you like food. I like food.
I haven't been there enough times to point out something negative.
Not Prime 109. I'm talking about the restaurant category in a whole. What is the restaurant category in a whole missing?
There are upscale restaurants in town, but some of them feel like a chain restaurant. And you just get that vibe. And Charlottesville is kind of like an anti-chain restaurant area.
Yeah.
We try to eat as local as possible.
No doubt. So you're saying you want to give it a little more thought of what it's missing.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I think is
probably
missing?
need to give that some thought.
Here's what I think is missing, and we talk about this. I talk about the bagel piece. I think another bagel company would be incredible.
We have too many options, sir.
Too many restaurants, you're saying?
I mean, well, we don't. It's a great number. But, when you ask a question like that, it's just like, well, I could just go to a different restaurant if there's something I'm not enjoying at one.
Kaylin wants to know the best hikes that I can go on with the dog.
Well, I know. Is this Caitlin Mancini?
Yeah.
I know she's got a smaller dog, so I wouldn't want to send her up too hilly or too rocky of a mountain. Ragged Mountain doesn't allow dogs. Shouldn't say that, but I've done it before.
How about just best hikes in general?
I really enjoy Walnut Creek Park. I go there a lot. I love that place. I spend a lot of time on the south side of town, so I go over there. You've got, if you're in certain neighborhoods, you've got the Ravenna Trail system running through your backyard. Riverview Park, I spend a lot of time there. You've got lots of areas and hidden little neighborhood trails too, depending on where you're at. I know in the back of Redfields, you've got the nature trail that takes you all the way down Sunset Avenue. Yeah. And you can literally, connect Charlottesville just on the trail system, which is pretty crazy.
Jonathan Kaufman, Nest Realty, watching right now, the CEO of Nest Realty on the chain. Welcome, Jonathan Kaufman. Watering holes.
Well, let's talk blue holes real quick. 'Cause
Oh.
let's talk blue holes real quick.
Okay.
Sugar Hollow. If you've never been to Sugar Hollow, you've got 2 different hiking trails there, one of which is a little easier than the other. But I like to start my spring or early summer with a plunge in a blue hole.
You doing that buck naked?
No.
No? Bathing suit?
No, I mean, people recognize me around town, so I can't.
Especially after this show.
Can't be doing things
You'd be
like that.
surprised what I've done with people recognizing me.
Watering holes. I mentioned Wild Wolf. I do spend some time there when I get the chance to go out 151. I don't always get the chance to. Here around town, you can probably catch me at Cardinal Hall with some friends.
That's a good one.
What's that game they have there? The shuffleboard.
Yeah, you're talking about the what's the game? Bocce ball.
Bocce ball. Playing
Yeah.
bocce ball. Any sort of yard sport or something like that. You might catch me there. Let's see.
You know what I like about this interview is because we have a lot in common. One of the things we have in common is quick wit.
Yeah.
So you're keeping up with me as I'm hopping around.
Yeah.
Sometimes that intimidates folks. You clearly are having no problem with that.
Sometimes it gets me in trouble.
Why? Because you say something without thinking.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
like, damn it, why did I say that? That is the story of my life.
It's okay. I usually say enough thoughtful things after that to make up for it.
Sharon says we need more saltwater pools that are public in Charlottesville.
It's true. I'm a member at ACAC.
Me
and
too.
It's expensive. They would be great if there were a saltwater
The
pool.
saltwater pool at ACAC is amazing.
It's great.
It's so amazing. We have this question coming on the feed. What neighborhoods in Charlottesville traditionally hold their value better than others?
This is a good one. One right now that everybody loves is Fry Springs. Everybody loves Fry Springs. And it's holding its value, whether you're putting a whole lot of equity into the house or just simply living in it. The JPA area, those are some great houses. Rugby Avenue and the areas off Rugby Heights, those houses hold their value. They always have. And then you've got specific neighborhoods like we talked about, Redfields, Old Trail. But back to city of Charlottesville, it's Belmont, of course.
If you can afford it.
If it's so competitive, though.
Yeah.
That's why you're seeing neighborhoods. Yes, Forest Hills is kind of Belmont-ish, and it's kind of Cherry Ave, but it's unique and it's got its own little area, and you're going to see these smaller little areas within Charlottesville continue to get more value as well as hold it.
Good answer. Sizzle reel that. Harris Tolber. A lot of people giving us contributions to what we were talking about from the food standpoint. Sharon says we need more home-style breakfast joints. Tip Top owns home-style breakfast.
It's true.
They have a great wait staff, but we need more Tip Top style joints in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Terry at Tip Top is the man.
Yeah.
I mean, I love going to that place. You talk about affordable.
Well, and have you ever ordered College Inn and had him deliver it to your house?
Well, he no longer owns College Inn.
Oh, really?
He sold it, and the owner now of College Inn is Stu Rifkin.
I didn't know that.
Stu Rifkin, who owns the Nook.
Yeah, I know.
And manages
Familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rifkin and Associates, he's in the real estate game.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
he bought
Very.
College Inn. Yeah, but I do remember at one time Terry, and I'm going to embarrass Terry right now. Terry is not only one of the kindest, most humble,
Yes.
most easygoing restaurateurs out there. He is a Greek guy that is just like so committed to work, and like Terry is probably like a 40 million, 50 millionaire. Terry owns probably a third of the University of Virginia corner, the guy who owns Tip Top Restaurant. Terry has a car collection that would put just about everyone's car collection to embarrass all our car collections. He has that many
I
cars.
didn't know that.
Yeah, this guy owns a third of the corner. It's Hunter Craig, it's Terry, and another person that own the majority of the University of Virginia corner. And Terry is still in the back of the Tip Top kitchen flipping eggs as the short order cook. And I too remember when Terry would deliver my chicken parm or my meatball sub from College Inn, 977-2710. I still remember the phone number. I don't even know my wife's phone number.
Hey, because I live in an area on the south side of town that doesn't deliver. I have been known to order College Inn before I go home to be delivered before I get a taxi to take home, so then I can take the College Inn home. Because you got to, if you're not getting delivery, you got to order food to get somewhere, and then you just take it with you.
I love it.
I've done that a few times.
Billy Koning. Billy, I always mess up your name. Billy is joining us on the program. Billy is about to open a 2.0 version of Sweet House on the west side of town. We will effort Billy on this program. A lot of people jumping in with some questions. Buchensky says what we need is a crab house. Baltimore-style crabs in Charlottesville.
He's absolutely right.
We do not have a crab house. Jump in here, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, you need a crab house. And we're talking, picnic-style tables. You got to redo the paper off the table every time because you're chucking crab legs right in the middle of the table.
That sounds awesome.
Or, when you go down to, South Carolina, further towards the coast, you get the tables that have the trash can in the middle.
Yeah.
So then you just throw all of the crab legs. You just throw it right in the middle.
It's as much about the food as it is like the experience of eating.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally right. Cold beer and some crabs.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a destination.
If you can get rooftop real estate for that, it'd be a big hit.
Your page is blowing up, dude. We have a number of your supporters jumping in here with questions. Guys, I don't think we're going to be able to get to all this. We've gone an hour and 15 minutes, and dude is crushing it. You're very good in this setting. Jason Okusa, thank you for watching us on the show. Debbie Brown, thank you for watching us on CVille Food. Grace, thank you for watching us on CVille Food. Michael Jameson, Dan Barnes, Meg Taylor, thank you for watching us on CVille Food. Over on the Roy Wheeler page, you got some of your colleagues jumping in. Let me throw this to you. Couple questions I want to get to before we go.
Sure.
Okay. The Roy Wheeler training.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the training you got at Roy Wheeler, why you picked Roy Wheeler.
Well, let's start with why I picked Roy Wheeler. Tradition and building business relationships is something that Roy Wheeler definitely has.
Uh-huh.
And going back to that, my family has worked with multiple Roy Wheeler agents in the past. So that was, a little bit of the reason why I felt comfortable approaching Michael. And then, after approaching other brokerages and then going to Michael and approaching him and understanding, how genuine of a guy he is and how much he really does care about the education of the realtors that are coming through Roy Wheeler Realty. We have multiple classes a week with the opportunity to watch live stream. If you can't make it, you can at least go back and watch it. He's got his own radio show. He talks about real estate every week. So it was I wouldn't say it was an easy choice, but it was a fitting choice for me to go to Roy Wheeler. Understanding that I am a little bit younger, but I wanted to work with folks that have a lot of experience to be able to learn from them and also avoid distractions with the younger crowd. I might not necessarily want to go out and grab a beer with every single 30-year-old that I'm competing with in real estate, and that's kind of the reason why.
You're the youngest guy at the firm.
I believe I am. We might have had this conversation the other day.
We did.
Yeah.
We thought it was between you and Mancini.
Yeah.
As the youngest people at the Roy Wheeler firm. Michael Guthrie, are we right? Alex is the youngest guy in the firm. I believe he is. Logan Wells Claylo?
Yep.
Logan Wells Claylo says, Alex, you are crushing it.
Well, thank you. I sit next to her in the office.
Yeah. Logan Wells is giving you some big-time props here on the stream. Ednam Village. What do you think of the townhome style, properties that are closer to Charlottesville that you see in Ednam Village?
Yeah.
A question we have on the stream.
I haven't had a chance to preview them yet myself,
Okay.
But if anything, Ednam, it's going to be popular. It's a great location. You're right there by Boar's Head. You're by Farmington.
By Roy Wheeler.
You're by Roy Wheeler. It's and you're very close to the University of Virginia. So it's going to be a desirable area. Again, I haven't had a chance to preview it, but just based off the location in which it's at, I can tell you that it's. And there's a shortage. There's a shortage to find a place to live, whether you're renting or buying.
You guys have got to be one of the only firms in James Swafford. Alex, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you, James.
James Swafford, loving Alex right now. You guys have got to be one of the only firms.
Charlottesville, and this is back to why I love Charlottesville.
Yeah.
I literally ran into one of my best friends, Xander, on the way in.
Who's
on
Xander?
the corner. He works over at S&P Global. But,
Okay. I thought it was Xander McNeish.
Nah, I don't think I know him.
Okay.
But, just coming in here to do this, and you're all jittery and you're all nervous, and, I walk by my best friend on the side of the road before I come
Randomly?
in. Randomly?
That's awesome.
Yeah. If it wasn't Xander, it would have been James, because, it's just that town where there are apartments around the corner. But, it's that town where you'll run into someone, and that really is part of the reason I love CVille.
And I thank you for saying that. Can we turn that into a sizzle reel?
Please.
Let's sizzle reel that, baby. This guy's creating sizzle reels left and right. A couple more questions we got to wind down. And if you're tuning into the show, we're launching a brand new program on the I Love CVille network that debuts at 3 p.m. today, so in an hour and 14 minutes. It's called What's Barking Local with Patty Bowden and Jerry Miller, where weekly we're going to spotlight the animal community in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. And today's guest, the first guest on What's Barking Local, 3 p.m. across the I Love CVille network, is Angie Gunter, the president of the Charlottesville Albemarle SPCA, who's doing big-time things. City versus county living.
Yeah, it depends on what your client or what you want. The thing with the city is you have convenience. You have everything that you want very close. Depending on where you live, you could probably even walk to get to most places. The cost of the living is going to go up with that convenience. So living out in the county, as I personally mentioned, I like a little bit more land. It's a longer commute, but you might have a little bit more privacy. Probably find something a little bit more affordable. But still access, everybody comes to Charlottesville. It's the hub. So coming and going, as long as you're close to somewhere on the south side of town like Wegmans, the drive to Scottsville doesn't hurt as bad when you can go somewhere or even that shopping center and grab a beer at Timberwood. It's just a matter of what your client's needs are. And do they want the convenience of the city living, or would they prefer the quietness and the commute of the county living?
Good answer. Sizzle reel. Right there for us. Sarah Hill says, I love Roy Wheeler, and Michael Guthrie gives her the round of applause emoji as a thank you. James Swafford's got a question for you.
Let's see what it is.
Okay. And I don't quite understand this question. Maybe you do. He says, I'd like to know Alex's analysis and his thoughts on the outlook down Secretaries.
Secretaries.
What is he talking about?
Secretaries is a road just off 20 South.
Okay.
And the reason he brings this up is because there are several lots currently available to be built. And I'm assuming he's asking because it's close to one of his family's properties. Secretaries goes and Rolling Road turns from Albemarle County into Fluvanna or the Scottsville zip code. And there's a great area to grow there. You need to buy a lot and build on it, but you're going to see it. You're seeing more and more lots pop up there, left and right. Full disclosure, I would love to buy a piece of land on that area of town.
Why? Because it's going to boom?
At some point. But again, while you can enjoy still it being a little quieter before it grows up.
So you see short-term quality of life, long-term investment.
Yeah, and it just depends on which part of Secretaries we're talking about, because there are a lot of farms and estates on Secretaries, and then the further south you get and further away from town, it does go back to residential and land listings.
You are so good at this. JW, I did not anticipate this going as well as it has, and my computer's about to run out of charge. I have 10 more minutes of questions I want to ask him. Will you grab this charger, my friend, and you could come on set so I can plug this in so I can continue to pick the brain, this man's intellect and his tremendous IQ. Dude, I don't know if I can get to all these questions right here. Guys, there are so many, we're talking like... Thank you. It's not going to reach, so you're going to have to unplug it. Let me throw this to you here. We talked about this. If you're a real estate investor, we talked about this, under the radar locations. We talked about affordable housing in the city of Charlottesville. We talked about what you've seen change growing up here in your 30 years of being on being on this planet.
Yep.
We talked about you running into people on your day off. It's okay if you come on, Judah. You're a sharp-looking individual. This is the question I want to throw to you. What have we missed? What should be highlighted? What should be discussed? You have a deep IQ and intellect. Put it out there in the stratosphere, my friend.
I have chosen a career that I intend to stick with for, up until retirement. And there's an expression in real estate that you don't really retire, and that's why I got in young. I want to have my finger on the pulse of real estate and all things Charlottesville around town. But
you're talking to the right guy.
But real estate is a big aspect of that. And, again, I chose a career that I enjoy working for myself. Yes, but I also really enjoy, working with others and for others and helping them achieve their goals. Because the happiness and the big decision of their life with buying and selling, being a part of it and being their, support system is very rewarding, emotionally. And, then taking your clients out for drinks later and, at some point later down the road, hoping that they're going to send you business and that they're going to ask you to relist their home. So when you're a real estate agent, you're not just an entrepreneur. You're not just working for yourself. You're working for others, and that's what the most rewarding part is.
Question on the feed: the future of Batesville. Batesville is the perfect country and intimacy. Yeah. It offers convenience to town. But what are Alex's thoughts on Batesville and where it's going?
They need some wider roads out there. You ever driven Batesville Road?
I have.
You'll get behind a logging truck or a farm vehicle, and you'll be stuck there for a little bit. Love Batesville. Love driving Plank Road, all the way back down to 250. Batesville, Batesville's a little slower growth too, out there on the southwestern western side of town, but everything is pushing down that way. Again, that's an area where there are a lot of farm and estate, properties, but you're going to find land listings intermingled in between that. And you'll probably see eventually new construction. I haven't seen too much new construction out there because, again, it's a lot of those land and estate properties.
Sharon says she loves Batesville. I do as well. Love the Batesville market. Love the live music that they're doing there. The beer tastings.
I like Greenwood especially.
Talk to me about Greenwood.
Greenwood. Well, there's just something amazing about walking into Greenwood Grocery.
Oh, it's so nice. Crozet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right on
Love
the bypass.
That place. Well, spending time in real estate over in Waynesboro, I've got a good friend who works at Greenwood, so I try to stop in on my way over the mountain and grab a bite to eat and keep on going back to Ednam. So, it's a great spot. It's a great area of town too, and Greenwood specifically. A lot of people lump it in with Crozet, and yeah, technically it's the same area, but there's some great stuff in Greenwood.
So you say Greenwood is its own niche in Crozet?
Yeah, it's a little one.
Yeah,
Very
and
little.
Greenwood Market's is the epicenter. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know about that, but everybody goes there. You'd be surprised the folks you run into over at Greenwood Grocery.
I got a question from Sandra from Twitter, and Sandra on Twitter says people underestimate the value of a grocery store when buying a home, and how a grocery store and the convenience that it offers can drive property values.
Yeah.
Throwing it to you.
Yeah, I would say look at your tax assessments for this year on the south side of town and how things have probably gone up, just based off of having that Wegmans 5th Street Station shopping center go there.
I'm dealing with it now.
Yeah.
It's a good thing, I guess.
Good and bad.
I mean, how about this? One of the final questions I'm asking you here, and thank you for responding well. Kristen McGinney says, how do we use the assessment number when thinking about what our home is worth?
That's a tough one, and it just depends. It just depends. You're typically going to, well, first of all, you want to run a CMA on the property and see what's coming in.
Well, no acronyms.
No acronyms.
Yeah, tell us CMA. Tell us what we're talking about here. Educate the people that are not as smart as you.
Well, let's get back to the question that
she wants to know is how does an assessment, the county or city assessment, impact the pricing of a home from a real estate standpoint, buying and selling?
So you're going to base the number of what your house is worth based off of that number multiplied by a certain percentage. And that percentage is going to be all the features that your home has that might outdo another home, whether it's lot location, lot size, features of the actual inside, exterior of the home, location inside the neighborhood, first floor living. All of those things really play into what your house is worth on top of that tax assessed value. And there's a lot of boxes that get checked in order to come up with that number. And tax assessed value, of course, answering this question more thoroughly for someone that might not know, is different than the appraised value. People think, oh, well, that's what my house was appraised at. That's not. It's what your house is assessed at. That's what you're paying taxes on. But the appraised value is going to be higher than that. And, you're going to be buying houses that are somewhere in between the tax assessed value and the appraised value, because you'd never buy a house above appraised value.
Look at Alex, dude. Crushed it right there. Last question we will throw to you. You went 90 minutes. We've gone 90 minutes here. You've done so well. I really appreciate your quick wit.
Sure.
And that's why we extended 30 minutes. It went really, really well. 7 channels now airing the I Love CVille Show. And at 3 o'clock, we're going to introduce brand new programming to the I Love CVille network. What's Barking Local with Patty Bowden and myself and Angie Gunter, the president of the Charlottesville Albemarle SPCA. Let's sizzle reel this one.
Sure.
Okay, and this is the question I'm going to ask you, and I'll give you a moment to think about it. I'll thank the sponsor so you compose your thoughts. Not that you need to for this.
Yeah.
The question that I'm going to ask you is, why should folks trust you as a real estate agent?
Sure.
And we'll turn that into a highlight clip. We want to thank Greenberry's Coffee, Dr. Scott Wagner, Intrastate Pest and Service Companies, and who am I forgetting? Roy Wheeler Real Estate Company, Animal Connection, Caring for Creatures, Cameron Limousine, soon to be a mortgage lender is going to join us perhaps on the I Love CVille show. So if you're interested, I would jump in quickly because we have tremendous interest in that category. The question for you, Alex, why should Charlottesville and Central Virginia trust you to buy or sell their home?
I think that goes back to a question that we touched on earlier, and that's service, and the answer is service and loyalty. By working with me, I'm going to have your priorities and your needs and desires at the top of my list, and the ability to juggle multiple clients with different needs, desires, wants, different price points, whether they're selling and buying, and being able to juggle not just the financial part of that, but also the emotional part. Not to throw out my psych degree too hard, but I think it's coming into use with real estate, with really getting to know your clients and how to react and not react when certain situations arise in real estate, and having that kind of real estate intelligence, emotional intelligence, and relationship intelligence. So service and loyalty. I think if you were to ask any of my clients if I jumped through hoops, if they asked me to, that I probably did it.
You killed it today, dude. You totally killed it.
I appreciate you having me again.
You have a depth and perspective that far exceeds your 30 years on earth. And I think one of the reasons you have this depth and perspective that far exceeds your 30 years on earth is perhaps you're naturally smart, you're well educated, Fort Union Military Academy, James Madison University, but also because you grew up in the area and you've been here for 30 years. So that
it's easy to talk about something that I shouldn't say easy, but it's a little easier to talk about something that
exactly.
You love and that you're a part of.
Yeah, crushed it. Did you have fun?
Oh, yeah.
You have fun?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
And guys, 1 hour and 2 minutes, a brand new episode on the I Love CVille Network. If you love animals in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, then don't miss What's Barking Local with myself and Patty Bowden, the owner of Animal Connection. We have another show launching tomorrow as well, our third new show on the I Love CVille Network, which we'll introduce you tomorrow. I thought Alex Tiscornia was so on point and so good today. And we filled 90 minutes of it. That's why we went long. Harris Tolber is our director. Judah Wickhauer over here, our producer. Lauren Linsky upstairs making things happen on the back end of the show. It takes 4 people to do a daily show like this. 4 people of human capital we're allocating to this show. It ain't easy, but we love connecting with you. I want to close with this. The I Love CVille Show, the whole point of this program is to celebrate and spotlight the best of Charlottesville, Virginia. What I'm doing with this forum is showcasing positivity as opposed to crime, as opposed to negativity, as opposed to, who did what to whom in a negative capacity. That's not what I'm about. I'm about positive. And if we can all surround ourselves with positivity and positive people, not only will our lives be better, but our community will be better. That's our mission, to focus on the best of Charlottesville. We close the same way every time. Ladies and gentlemen, please be good to each other, and please embody the golden rule. If you do both, our community will be a better place. It's that simple. For Harris Tolber, for Alex Tiscornia, for Judah Wickhauer, for Lauren Linsky, I'm Jerry Miller. It's the I Love CVille Show. We will see you tomorrow at 12:30, or if you stay online at 3 o'clock with What's Barking Local with Patty Bowden. Enjoy the rest of your day. Dude. Whew. So good, man.
Once we got going, it wasn't that bad.
It was so easy.
I've got a piece of
90 minutes. All right, there you go. Okay, there you go. You got the keys. We got to get the photo from you. Yes, oh, you're good. You did so well.
I knew I was going to drink that water.